right?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
here we are. Mike Tyson, 15 years removed from his ignominious defeat against Kevin McBride. Roy Jones has been active, but hasn't been active for over 3 years, or close to 3 years. Why do fighters keep coming? Why do you come back? Is it all about the Benjamins, Ray?
For me, it's really hard to articulate unless you're in my shoes.
Well, put yourselves in Mike and Roy's shoes and compare yourself.
Well, for me, thank God, I didn't come back for financial reasons. I came back because I wanted to fight Marvin Hagler. Not unfortunately, but fight Terry Norris, Hector Macho Camacho. I mean, I pushed the envelope too much without being ready here and here.
But you were in your 30s, and these guys are now in their 50s. And while it is an exhibition, do you feel that it's going to remain so? I mean, we're talking Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., two guys with healthy egos, a lot of pride.
You said exhibition?
I did?
No, there's no such thing as an exhibition. Even when I'm sparring with my brother Roger, I don't spar. I try to knock his
what
head
is
off.
your definition of hard sparring? That's what the California State Athletic Commission has decreed this match. They want them to go at it, but not necessarily hurt each other. Come on.
They have no control over that. They are going to hurt each other. Hate to say it.
Israel, you've been very vocal about the same thing. There's a big difference in terms of, a lot of people, casual sports fans, lapsed boxing fans, with everything going on in the world, need a break from, I guess, reality. This is surreality. What about this fight tonight? What do you expect?
Honestly, I expect them to go at each other. Like I said, this is Thriller. This ain't vanilla. I don't know what this exhibition thing we're talking about is. But once someone gets touched, egos, like Mike said, the gods of war have summoned him again. They've summoned him again. That's why, like Mr. Leonard said, in here, he's had that. Same with Roy. They have that. They're fighters through and through. It's like riding a bike. Once you're a fighter, you can't let go of that. You have to be able to, though.
All right, let's streak definitely is impressive.
For me, it's just a record. Like, for me, I just see knowledge passed down. Just, this is crazy. These guys have been around. They're old dogs, and they still got some new tricks up their sleeve.
And their knockout streaks lengthy, 19 for Tyson, 17 for Roy Jones. And, yeah, y'all must have forgot. I mean, Roy Jones Jr., obviously a man known for his boxing, his creative offense, much like you, Israel. But he also possessed some pop. The uppercuts, the Glenn Kelly. I mean, that was a posterizing of a fighter when he had his hands down, pop Glenn Kelly. So let's see, Ray, again, final words in terms of what is the realistic expectations tonight?
You know, when the fight was first announced, I said Mike Tyson, but I didn't include Roy Jones Jr. Anything can happen here. I can't call it.
What would be a success for you?
For me, if they both showed their true heart and even go more than 4 rounds and show true skill, that would be a big win for everyone.
And I think it's an advantage for both, but for Mike Tyson especially, 2-minute rounds. They were supposed to wear headgear, and, well, if you go back to the rematch with Evander Holyfield, maybe Roy Jones Jr. wishes they were wearing headgear tonight, but it's they're not going to be wearing headgear. 8 2-minute rounds.
Maybe you and I can do that.
Maybe you can do that, and I'll call it.
My man's about that action.
All right, so here we go. We are just moments away. Legends Only League, the first night, and here's Mike Tyson's resume, and yeah, it speaks for itself. Started his career with 19 consecutive knockouts, a ferocious blast, a fire hose blast of brutality. Became the youngest heavyweight champion in history when he defeated Trevor Berbick, was the 86 and 1988 Fighter of the Year. His prime really between 86 and 91. He was the undisputed heavyweight champion for 3 years. Look at that. Half of his 44 knockouts come in the opening round, and, well, a night that he would, I'm sure, like to forget, quitting on the stool against Kevin McBride, saying that he had lost his love for boxing. But boxing has saved his life, and he is back, wanting to give back to humanity, wanting to give back to his family, wanting to give back to himself. And, of course, a lot of money for charity as well. Let's go now to Roy Jones Jr.'s. All right, and before we get that, let's talk a little bit more about this resume, Israel. Again, the power.
That's the thing everyone always says. Even in my career, they keep saying the power. But power means shit if you can't get it to the target. But the guy, Mike Tyson, knows how to deliver that power to the target. He's got beautiful head movement. He knows how to get inside, great footwork, and deliver that power. And he's done it over and over again. Look at that, 22 or 44 KOs inside the first round. I won't be surprised if we see that here tonight.
Ray, you were an undisputed welterweight champion. Mike Tyson, an undisputed heavyweight champion. I mean, undisputed speaks for itself, my man. What is it like being at the top of the mountain?
Indescribable. Indescribable, but it's all about the purpose. Reason.
And we saw Tyson climb the mountain, but he ended up a precipitous fall. But hey, he's going to try to be as sharp as he can. If he's as sharp as a cliff edge, he might do well tonight as we again anticipate the main event here. And we've got, of course, Roy Jones Jr. We would love to take a look at his resume as well, as, of course, he was the fighter of the 90s. And a guy that just, I mean, this guy moved his hands like a magician, becoming the first fighter to start a career at 154 and then claim a piece of the heavyweight crown, the first middleweight champion to do so in 100 years. And again, Olympic silver medalist. Ray, you were a gold medalist. Roy Jones Jr. should have been a gold medalist. The worst decision in Olympic boxing history.
I actually cried when that happened. That was just so wrong.
All right, and Snoop Dogg rejoins us, and Snoop, Roy Jones Jr. spits a few bars as well. He's a man after your own heart with the rapping, but what about the rapping he'll be doing in the ring tonight?
I mean, you got to look at his career. Roy was the man in the 90s, just like, you know, the music that I made was real effective in the 90s, so we kind of like coexisted at the same time. So to see that he still got the spirit and the will and the know-how and to put his skills up against the great Mike Tyson, that says a lot, because Mike is Mike no matter what day it is or what night it is. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen.
All right, bringing the OG funk along with Roy Jones Jr., Snoop Dogg and Israel. What about Roy Jones Jr.? We've talked about throughout the night the way that you have patterned some of your unorthodox creative offense. What is it? What bedazzled you the most about Roy Jones Jr. in his heyday?
For me, it's his confidence. He was so sure of himself. Mike had that as well, and Mike talked about that when he walked in the ring. But Roy had this confidence, this aura of invincibility. Like he just knew you can't rock with me. Like I'm going to go in there and impose my will on you, like hands behind the back with James Toney. What's up? And then he copied him, dropped him down. These are iconic moments in combat sports history and highlights that are going to live on and on and on forever. He might create another one tonight.
All right, well, we have a contact high in the building thanks to Snoop. And Snoop, there hopes to be a lot of contact tonight.
Hey, thanks to Weed Maps, man. I followed the navigation on Weed Maps, man.
And speaking of cannabis, of course, Mike Tyson has had a legendary career. Snoop, talk about the influence of Iron Mike and why you're such a fan.
Man, Iron Mike Tyson is the epitome of what it means to be great, to come from nothing and become something. He was our hero. You know, we looked up to Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, and then it was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was the new era of what they had laid down, you know, running with the baton, taking it to another level. So he represented the hood. He represented the turf that you could actually get up out of the hood and make it. So we really, you know, leaned on him and loved him for what he did, and we supported him through his good times, bad times, and his comeback. So we always been there for Mike Tyson.
What did you think when this fight was first announced, Snoop? Did you think that the Indo was a little stronger than usual?
I was like, let me call Roy to make sure. You hear me? Are y'all sure? You sure?
And there, speaking of the devil himself. There's Roy Jones Jr. Again, just an incredible athlete. And Ray Leonard, of course, with some of the fastest hands in the sport. Roy Jones Jr. with dazzling hand speed. But it was just the creative offense, the unorthodox nature. And it's just incredible to see him making this walk now at the age of 51. He said it was a bucket list. He knows he's giving up the size. And he says, you know, you can criticize him all you want. You can make light of the fight, but he says, I'm going to be standing across Mike Tyson. This is bucket list stuff, Israel.
100%. This is something that dreams are made of. This is a fantasy fight, if you will. But it's not a fantasy. It's about to happen right now in front of us. And yeah, Roy, never count out an old dog. He's still got this tricks up his sleeve. And he's a guy that's a crafty veteran. I'm telling you, man, they say speed's elastic is one of the first things that go when you get older. But he's a guy that still retained a little bit of that. He's not the same. His eyes aren't the same, like you said, but he's still got that pop in his punches and that delivery system that's super fast.
2020 continues to bring the improbable. Let's go to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Two legends in one ring. Coming to the ring first, the six-time world champion, Roy Jones Jr.
First things first, to all my haters, talking sideways like I ain't the greatest. Y'all must have forgot I had to learn a lot. Sitting on top and there's really no debating. You do me a favor, don't do me no favor. I'm throwing left hooks that'll wake up the later. After I'm done, won't be none greater. I'm talking about nigga, not now, not later.
Y'all must have forgot.
The last of the great.
Get him, Roy.
No time for mistakes. Remove all the rats and kill all the snakes. Eliminate anything else out the way. Real talk. Nigga, this is right. This ain't just talk. I'm ready to fight. I don't just talk.
Hey.
I'm more about to fight. I don't just bark. I'm about to take flight. Like we take off.
Take off.
Tell y'all
We're going to get the collab, Snoop.
Man, we got to get a collab. Roy still got it. What do you mean?
He was a boxing virtuoso, and while he's released rap albums, he was pure jazz in the squared circle.
And now making his entrance to the ring, the former two-time heavyweight world champion, Iron Mike Tyson!
I'm Mike Tyson. I've been the wildest, I've been the craziest, I've been outrageous. The vicious, the most destructive fighter ever lived. I'm Mike Tyson, an international star, a warlord to strip your heart out. And guess what? I'm Mike Tyson. I'm Mike Tyson. I'm Mike Tyson.
Mike with the EDM.
The classic, no socks, black trunks, towel around his neck, and Mike Tyson 1 week removed from the 34-year anniversary where he defeated Trevor Berbick to become the youngest heavyweight champion.
Recording superstar, singer, actor, producer, Neo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright streaming, and the rocket's regular. Angle banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
From Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, USA, CES Boxing proudly presents the main event of the evening. 8 two-minute rounds of heavyweight boxing, featuring two of the greatest names in the history of the sport, as Triller brings us Tyson Jones, sanctioned by the California State Boxing Commission, Chairman John Carvelli, Executive Officer Andy Foster. The World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, has assigned 3 former world champions to unofficially score this matchup. They are Chad Dawson, Christy Martin, and Vinny Paz, a.k.a. Vinny Pazienza. The referee in charge of the action will be Ray Corona. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the officials are ready. The fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the millions tuned in watching this live, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the black corner, wearing white and purple with gold, official weight 210 pounds. In 75 career fights, he has 66 victories, including 47 big wins by knockout. He's recognized as one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters in boxing history. From Pensacola, Florida, USA, the former middleweight world champion, former super middleweight world champion, the 2-time light heavyweight world champion, former WBU cruiserweight world champion, and the former heavyweight champion of the world, the future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr. And across the ring, fighting out of the white corner, wearing his traditional black and officially weighing in at 220.4 pounds. In his career of 56 fights, he has 50 victories, including 44 knockouts. He was universally recognized as the baddest man on the planet. From Brownsville and the Catskills and Henderson, Nevada, USA, he is from the from the International Boxing Hall of Fame, presenting one of the most devastating heavyweight KO punchers of all times, the 2-time heavyweight, former undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
Let's go, fighters, 2 seconds. All right, gentlemen, I gave you the rules in there. Two legends. Let's give them a good show. Touch gloves if you want.
Two-minute rounds sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission.
Are you ready?
Bell in round 1, Ray Corona. And upstairs with that left hook, and there's a little of that bobbin weaving. Of course, Customato teaching him the early intricacies of boxing, and Mike Tyson all over Roy Jones Jr. Snoop.
This shit like two of my uncles fighting at the barbecue. Get your uncle out of there. Get him out. You go meet me in the backyard. I'm tired of this shit. Come on. Meet me back here, huh? Get up in there, Roy. Shit, in and out.
12-ounce gloves. Not the normal 10-ounce gloves, Israel. They will blunt a little bit of the offense.
Hold on to him, Roy. Hold on to him. Don't take that. Get out of there. Them tender now. Them ribs is tenderoni. Back up.
Already a minute gone. Again, just 2-minute rounds. Mike Tyson coming forward.
Boy, look at my uncles. Look at him. Look at my uncles out there fighting in the backyard. Stop. Back up.
Hey, he big as hell. I gotta hold him.
Roy Jones Jr. We're talking. The referee says, "Get me first. I gotta hold him."
He said he's bringing his hand. I gotta hold him. You gotta protect yourself. Get out of there, Roy. You still got it.
Well, there's a double, triple jab with Mike Tyson. Tyson trained with famed MMA trainer, and I know Izzy, you know him very well, Rafael Cordero. And Cordero said he had to end up having shoulder surgery just holding the pads for Tyson.
Definitely, I can imagine that.
Power. That's power. Okay. Come on, Roy. Box.
Roy's trying to make him run into that right hand.
That's what he wanted him to do?
Yes, with that jab.
So he put the jab.
Yes. He's already tired. All right? Come back with a shot. Like, make them little turns shorter and then come right back with stuff, okay? You can see this stuff coming. You see it. Come with deep breath.
There, the breathing is already heavy, Snoop.
He said, you can see it coming. He said, yes, somewhat.
He's right. You got it.
Yeah, he's telling the truth. Tell it like it is and not like it was, huh?
Amen. Round number 2. And Mike Tyson explodes and delivers a left to the body and the left hook upstairs. And Roy Jones Jr., you know, he talked about facing Anderson Silva, the MMA legend. He just wanted, he's trying to turn this into a wrestling match.
Yeah, go ahead, Roy. Look at Roy got technique. Roy got
he better be careful there.
He's doing the right thing, but he needs to get out of there.
Yeah, because he's going to make Mike mad. He's going to put it back to 87 on him.
Mike Tyson used to be a vegan. Evander Holyfield wishes he was on that night in 97 as Tyson, though, coming forward remains focused. Oh, just blocked Roy Jones with that left hand, and Jones shook it off.
Roy asked him, Lord.
Trying to turn back the clock one more time.
Shit, mix it up, Roy. You ain't come here to play. It's your money.
Father Time undefeated. These two way past their primes, but looking for just something to look into. Entertain at least.
He can't let Mike get settled
with the right hand.
That was a move and a half. He went real low. That was a low rider move right there. He dropped down to the floor on it. Oh, get out of there, Roy. Get the ribs out of there. They're going to be soloing. Get them out of there.
Israel, what do you think of Roy Jones Jr. tactics here?
I think he's trying to get Mike tired by grappling with him, making him feel his weight, making him frustrated as well, so that way he can make a mistake. But, man, you don't want to make Mike mad.
You got to keep them ribs off that barbecue grill because they will be sauteed, man.
Under 30 seconds left here in the second round. Tyson digging to the body momentarily, but they might need oxygen in between rounds here as they are just leaning on each other. And again, let's not
go ahead, Roy. Get smart
Roy that clipped him with
go
a
ahead,
left.
Roy. Get smart. Look at him. Look at my Uncle Roy. Oh, Roy. Get him, Roy.
Use that jab. Mike's yes, Mike.
Double left.
Get out of there.
And yet Jones absorbed.
That's not good.
Whoa, after the bell.
Ding.
There's a new Mike Tyson.
Yeah, the nice
Mike Tyson. Oh, wow.
That's called maturity.
Yeah, amen.
Say that. Growth and development. Say that.
Man, testify, bro.
Yes, Lord.
Just keep that fucking 7 going. Keep that 7 going.
I like that round. They was mixing it up real good. I like that.
Right here, Mike. Your jab is there. Can you measure one more jab? Double. Can you measure the big jab?
Breathe a little bit, fellas. Breathe a little bit.
1, 2, and 3. And then you put that bomb.
And you're hearing the voice of Rafael Cordero, responsible for honing some of the skills of some of the greatest MMA strikers ever, including Evander Silva. But there's Jones.
Get off, Roy, with the no look.
Hit him with the dart and then escape. Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
Get out of there. Just get out of there.
That's the rule. I love right there. The no look.
All right. Jones appears to be breathing a little laboriously, but Mike Tyson appears to be okay. Now comes out, moving the head a bit, trying to walk down. Jones lands the left.
This is where conditioning comes into play. Ooh, beautiful footwork from Mike Tyson.
See, Mike doing it. He fainting him now. He fainting him now. He's just not walking in straight. He giving him some head fakes, some leg movements.
Ooh, low output.
Good combination.
Yep.
The left hand, and referee Corona walking and watching, and again Roy Jones Jr. just trying to keep it close, trying to wear down Mike Tyson potentially, and
Roy's getting the better of the inside fighting at the moment.
He's smart. He's smart. That's a veteran fighter right there that knows how to wrap up and not take no big hits, but keep it in tight like that.
But is it entertaining and exciting for the viewing public at home, Snoop? I know it's smart.
But normally when Mike Tyson fights, he fights tall guys, big guys.
Oh, we got a headbutt.
You got guys now with Roy's like the same height.
Right.
And we've had an accidental headbutt. I heard that potentially if there was a cut, that the Ray Corona may be looking to stop it, but this so far so good here in terms of, I don't think there was a cut, obviously.
It's too good to stop.
Yeah, can't stop this because of a cut.
What you just boxing? Put some Vaseline on that thing and keep it moving.
Some Lysol.
Use that adrenaline. Oh, and there's an exchange.
A great exchange from two legends right there.
Speaking of legends, very proud to have Snoop Dogg on the broadcast as a big fan, and you're breaking it down for us, brother.
Hey, man, this is what I love. I love watching boxing. I love to be able to talk about it and be about it at the same time.
Oh, and Jones avoids that punch by Tyson.
Get you some points.
He's trying to frustrate. He's trying to frustrate. Yes, exactly. He needs to let his hands go.
Right, that's how you get points, right?
Absolutely. But you got to be careful with those hands down.
Wise man once said, if you don't have any expectations, you will never be disappointed. And we need to temper our expectations in terms of what we will see tonight, Snoop.
Well, you know, I'm so happy that I'm seeing these guys still have it, like still have the punches, still have the awareness and the know-how and the smarts inside the ring. They may not have the same velocity, the same speed, but they still got that know-how.
Yeah, they got the mind, but sometimes the body doesn't do what the mind says, right, Israel?
Definitely. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. They're very competitive. Good fight so far. And we still have a few rounds left.
Feint it and do it off. Listen. Even do it off a feint and switch and throw the
yeah, there you go. That one hand, but you got to put some body behind that one hand because you ain't doing nothing.
And he has to frustrate Mike.
Get your deep breath.
Do he really want to frustrate Mike?
I think Mike's there already.
He's already across from you.
All right,
Of course, Mike Tyson would love to deliver that patented right hook to the body, followed by the right uppercut. Has done so much damage over the years, and Tyson attacking Jones.
Oh, you mean the one he's doing, the Mike Tyson punch-out video?
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
And he's done it in a few fights as well, as he is, I mean, that uppercut. And Jones had a very good uppercut in the day, and Jones trying to utilize the footwork, the speed, obviously nowhere close to where it was in his prime, but Jones trying to deke and juke here.
What Roy Jones is doing is really trying to frustrate him, but Tyson cuts the corner off.
Yeah, he does.
Cuts the ring, yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm back in my days as a pro wrestling announcer with some of this grappling. High plumb there, is he?
Yeah.
See, I'm hitting you back. I like this. This is what I like. My uncles is getting it in. Grandma will have to break this up. Grandma, they out there fighting.
Roy Jones Jr. for holding.
You know the punch, that hook to the body and then the uppercut?
The short one.
The short one. That will be effective.
Here's our unofficial scoring by the former champions.
I'm really impressed with Mike Smith.
Oh, right into the body. Another body shot. Jones winces, and the veteran Jones hanging on now.
That's the shot.
Yeah, that's the thought.
Looking for the money shot.
Using strength, yes.
That was beautiful.
20 seconds left in the round.
Yeah, 20 seconds left in the first half of this 8-round fight. Again, only 2-minute rounds.
Oh, get off there, Roy. Get off.
He's working the body.
Roy Jones. And what he keeps doing to get away with it, he'll tie one hand, punch with the other, then swap around and tie with the other hand, and keep punching.
See, but only a veteran would be able to do something like that against Mike Tyson.
That's crap.
We have WBC former champion judges on hand tonight, of course, Chad Dawson, Christy Martin, and Vinny Pazienza. Pazienza, by the way, infamous for not landing a